Man, that is absolutely freaking unbelievable. This car just moved under its own power. Not only did it move, it stopped. That is crazy. You guys that are OGs to the channel, you know this car's been here a long time. It came in on a rotisserie with absolutely nothing. There was only body metal. No wiring, no glass, no nothing. Man, what a project. But we got to get on this thing. So we pretty much got the missing piece. Well, the one we were missing at the moment. How about it? Well, not this part, but. So we got a drive shaft. Custom made from Denny's Drive Shafts, Denny'sDriveShafts.com. We got 1350 U-joints. And that's pretty much all we were lacking. It's about down to Georgia. Yeah, she's about ready. So I'm gonna have to get with them this week. See when I can carry this thing down. That'll be a lot of fun. Yeah, going in. Gonna stab it.
There it is.
That's it. How'd they do on the length?
Here, I gotta take this clip off. Hold the caps on.
Oh yeah. Yeah, looks like it's gonna fit good.
I gotta cut that.
Very nice. All right, boys, so good news. We're pretty much at that point where this thing can go down to amp EFI. And I did want to show you guys something really freaking cool. Actually, let me go here and show you on this other car first. The Coyotes have kind of a weird setup. They call it kind of like the V. It's hard to see. But this thing right here, where you got your thermostat housing down there, then you go to your upper hose up here, and then of course you go into the engine right here. You got this thing. It's like the lower hose comes in here. The thermostat's right there, but then it does this V thing, and it's like it's basically, I don't know. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but those things are also kind of problematic. You know, if you've got an F-150 or something you've had for any length of time, you probably had to replace that thing because they are prone to leaking. So we did something a little different. Now, we're not the first. Other people have done it. But we just put a straight elbow. This is actually off, believe it or not, a 350 Chevrolet. And did away with that whole thing. And, of course, you got your upper hose in there. Just did away with all of that. And I got to say, it looks a lot cleaner. And you're not putting hot coolant back into the motor. So from what we've read too, the engine should run a little cooler, but it's kind of freaking crazy. I like how it looks. It cleans it up, and you don't have that leaky freaking thing that, you know, is going to have to be replaced. And they can be kind of a pain in the ass. And of course, they're like 70, 80 bucks, I think. Maybe more now. I haven't priced one lately, but yeah, a little bit different. I think a lot better too. The question that gets asked so many times, I'm on all the Coyote swap pages on Facebook. There's a wealth of information on there. If you guys are thinking about a swap, I highly recommend getting into like Coyote Swap Fox Bodies, Coyote Swap the World. There's F100 Coyote swap pages. There's OBS F150 Coyote swap pages. There is a ton of good information in there, and you can use the search bar, figure out pretty much any answer to any question you've got. But the biggest one I see, and the one, you know, Dover and I get asked a lot is, I'm about to do a swap, which is the best Coyote to go with? So as far as your generations, we'll start right here in our giveaway Coyote swapped Capri. If you guys have not signed up for premium, you need to get in on premium. This is our next giveaway car, and it freaking rips. Anyway, this is a Gen 1 Coyote. excellent freaking motor. The quietest, no oil consumption issue. They're fantastic engines. I have read, can't necessarily verify, they won't hold as much power as the Gen 2s and Gen 3s. But this thing, all motor, on a Mustang dyno, made 436 horsepower to the rear tires on a Mustang dyno. The Gen 1s are extremely solid motors. Being that they went out of production in 2014, they're getting a little harder to find somewhat. You know, with low miles, this is a low mile engine. So if you're looking for a swap, Gen 1s are going to be a little harder to find, but they're fantastic engines and make phenomenal power. So next up, you're going to be your Gen 2, which was roughly 15 to 17. Fairly short run. The Gen 2 got better heads, better cams. The Gen 2 is said to be kind of a variant of what the Boss 302 engines were. You guys know the Boss 302s made a lot of power, and they pretty much took what they learned from the Boss 302 and incorporated it in to make your Gen 2 Mustang engine. These engines, just like the Gen 1s, extremely reliable. Very, very few problems to speak of overall. They make fantastic power. They hold more power than the Gen 1s, according to, you know, what everybody has said. Fantastic freaking engines. Then you've got the Gen 3. Now, the Gen 3 was in the Mustang from 18 all the way up until 24. Well, 23 essentially was the last gen in the Mustang. And then the Gen 3 ran up until, I believe, 21 in the F-150. The Gen 3s got 12 to 1 compression and a healthy bump in factory horsepower, among other changes, along with the direct injection. The Gen 3s kind of, if you get on Facebook, earned somewhat of a bad reputation. They had some oil consumption issues. They can be noisy. Other little things like that. They will hold a lot of power compared to the Gen 1. And like I said, the extra compression means, especially when boosted, they're going to make considerably more than, you know, a comparable Gen 1 or Gen 2. But like I said, if you do some searching, especially amongst the F-150 guys, the Gen 3's got kind of a sketchy reputation. Now, before we go any farther, you're going to be like, what about the Gen 4s? Number one, we've never done a Gen 4, so I'm not going to speak on something I don't know about. Number two, the Gen 4's got a mechanical cylinder deactivation, which I don't really like. Most people don't like. And also, a lot of people aren't doing the Gen 4s. They're just, as far as swap applications, there's not, I don't honestly know of any that I've seen done in a swap application. So I'm not going to speak on that. We're going to stick to Gen 1 through 3. So if you were to come to me right now and say, I'm about to do a swap, which engine should I get? I'd say the Gen 2. I'd just say the Gen 2. There's a couple of reasons that I'd say the Gen 2, aside from the fact that, you know, they're just solid engines that, I mean, I honestly can't really name any problematic areas with them. But let me kind of explain also, aside from everything else, why I like the Gen 2s. Now, you guys know my car has a Gen 3 in it, and it's phenomenal. It makes stupid power, runs amazing, all that. So I don't hate the Gen 3, but let me show you one reason, especially why in a swap application I like a Gen 2. It's because of all this. That's your direct injection, okay? Obviously, in a swap application, You want everything to be clean and beautiful and pretty and all that. This DI up here looks like a hot mess. It does. Now, it's not like, on my car, it's not quite as noticeable because the Whipple's up there and, you know, all that. And we kind of routed a lot of the lines to hide it. But all that direct injection looks like a mess. Compared to, we'll go over to this car, which is a Gen 2. Clean. You don't have all that garbage. You know, you can dress that up. You can buy the billet cam covers. We've got the little covers up here. If I can reach, I can't reach the damn things, but there's the covers. You can put the nice covers on here, cover up all the coils and all the bolts and all that. When dressed up, they look really good, and you don't have all the direct injection, which there's really nothing you can do with them. They do make billet valve covers for the Gen 3s, but you still see all that crap, and they just look cleaner. Just my opinion. The second most asked question is, I want to run boost. What type should I go with? That's up to you, but I'll give you my take. Unless you're trying to go really, really, really fast, I personally would not go with a turbo. Unless you know, if you're planning to race, you're trying to be competitive, you're trying to go really fast, I default straight to a turbo, obviously, and that's not Coyote specific. That's pretty much anything. But most of the guys, they want boost. They want something that's a good cruiser, something that's pretty fast and, you know, fairly easy and simple. And those two options are going to be your centrifugal or your root style. Now, the centrifugals are not as popular right now on a Coyote, but I will say, ever since we drove this car with the ESS, I've been extremely impressed. Like, this car hits hard, really down, you know, down low, which was pretty damn impressive considering most centrifugals start making power higher up in the RPM range. Now, why that's important on the Coyote is because it's a small displacement, high winding engine, much like Ferraris and stuff like that. So the root style, which gives you that off-idle torque and power in a Coyote, kind of bridges that gap. Root style superchargers on a Coyote are money. They just, where the Coyote lacks down low, root style make up for it. That's why I got a Whipple on my car. Most guys with Coyotes do root style, and let's be honest, they look great. You know, they fit really well. They just kind of look cool on the Coyote. But again, the ESS supercharger on this car makes great power, and yes, Vortec and ProCharger make great power, but again, they don't give you that down low grunt that you're kind of missing in a small displacement engine, which a Coyote is. So if you're going to ask my opinion, I would go root style, you know, i.e. a Whipple or VMP, something like that. All right, the third and final most asked questions is, should I just buy one of those crank-a-pallets I see advertised all the time? And the answer is no. The short answer as to why I say no is because when you see a crank-a-pallet, they tank the gas tank, they take the cluster, the ignition the column, and the modules, the tank, all of that stuff. They throw it on a pallet and put power to it and crank it up. You're like, wow, I can just throw all that in my car. No. In a swap application, you're not going to run a Mustang cluster because it's not going to fit in your dash. You're not going to run a newer Mustang tank because it's not going to fit in your F100 or your Fox body. And you're not going to run all these modules and stuff because you don't need them. They're kind of pointless. Your ABS modules and your body control modules and door modules and blah, 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 blah. You're not going to run all that. You're not going to use all of it. All of it is pointless. Get a system like a Ford control pack or this one we've got in this car from AMP-FI plug it up, get a Dakota digital cluster or something like that, and you're golden. Basically, all you need on that pallet is the engine. Maybe the transmission if you're going automatic or something like that. That's it. You don't need all that extra crap. It's just stuff that saves them money from having to recycle and get rid of. So you'll have to. It's just a bunch of stuff you don't need. All you really need is an engine, a trans, and a system to run it. All right, guys, I hope that helps. Like I said, we're not experts out here. We've just done a whole lot of them, and we know a lot of other people because, you know, we trade ideas and help each other back and forth. And so just throwing all of that experience together, that's the best advice I can give you. So take it for what it's worth. And if you did get something out of it, please drop me a big thumbs up. Make sure you smash that subscribe button. We'll catch you on the next one.